So as I said, we're a year old, but I do want to reassure people that that's not my first involvement with young people. I've been working with young people who are at risk and vulnerable young people for 18 years now, and particularly in Cambridgeshire, since 2003. Since graduating from university, and the basis of Concrete Rose has come from that experience, really, and seeing so many young people that I worked with move from vulnerable home situations and sometimes care into kind of larger impersonal hostels and or other kind of unsuitable environments, and that be a real time of vulnerability. And I think for a long time I just wanted to be able to respond to that and to create loving homes for young people, and that was the foundation for Concrete Rose. And there were so many stories I can remember of young people I was working with, and I was thinking, if only we had kind of safe, nurturing, loving placements for these the young people at this time, it makes such a massive difference. I mean, you might have heard of kind of the cliff edge of care. So many young people leave care at 16, 17, 18, and they're forced to make this rapid transition to adulthood, where they often have to change education and home and access benefits or get jobs, and it can be really difficult for them. And that means that, you know, outcomes for care leavers are still shockingly poor. And that was really something I wanted to respond to, as well as stories like this young woman that I worked with for a long time. You might have noticed this. I put it out on our social media post, and we'll pull a Sarah, not actually her name, but I remember working with Sarah, and you know, within 2 years, she'd moved 9 times. She was first referred because she had low mental health. And she just had a miscarriage, and she was in a hostel and wasn't really kind of finding that supportive environment, and then she got thrown out of the hostel because of rent arrears and some kind of mental health struggles. There was a suicide attempt at that point from her, and she was just going from temporary accommodation to other temporary accommodation, and she was involved in a couple of abusive relationships along the way and had to go into refuges. And at one point, where she couldn't go home because of a partner, we put her up with a vicar actually for a couple of weeks. And after that, she became a young mother, but really struggled and found that really difficult because just being a kind of on your own and trying to raise a child was really difficult. And I just remember constantly in that story thinking, if only we had somewhere where we could place her in terms of a loving home where she could get that nurture. I really feel it would make a massive difference to her. And that was just one of I guess a huge number of stories that I came across during my time, particularly at Romsey Mill, where I was there for 12 years, of young people I felt just needed a safe place to be, really. And so off the back of that, and probably, you know, during the first lockdown, got a bit of time to reassess what I wanted to do, and asked to cut down my days at Romsey and start something new, which was Concrete Rose, which particularly would look to create loving homes for young people in nurturing environments, and spent a long time researching how to do that, and came across supported lodgings, which I'll talk about in a bit. I just thought I'd mention something about our name, because it's the most popular question that I get. Where's your name come from? Actually, I looked earlier, and the most popular Google search we get is for concrete in Cambridge. So I think a lot of kind of people wanting to lay a new patio get disappointed when they end up at the Concrete Rose website. But anyway, in terms of our name, it comes from a poem by Tupac, and it's called The Rose That Grew from Concrete. And for me, it just encapsulates what we want to be about, and also some of the stories of young people. And particularly I love this last verse. It says, "You see, you wouldn't ask why the rose that grew from the concrete has damaged petals. On the contrary, we would all celebrate its tenacity. We would all love its will to reach the sun." And I think for me, what we're saying in that is, you know, young people, and those particularly with traumatic histories, have shown some tremendous tenacity to get through some of that stuff. And yes, there might be the odd scar and prickle because of it, and that's to be expected, but we should celebrate that tenacity. And I guess from Concrete Rose's point of view, also we should create environments where those young people can really flourish and grow to be all that they were made to be. So in case you want to know where the name came from, I thought I should cover that, as it's our most popular question. And just a little bit more from me until we hear from real kind of people with experience who you want to be hearing from tonight. What is supported lodgings, if you don't know? I just put, there's just a bit of a definition here, but basically it's where young people 16 plus, and we say 16 to 21, are put in the home of a host family, individual or couple, basically somewhere for them to stay. It's a little bit different than foster care. There's more independence from the young person, and there's no kind of there's not as much parental responsibility from the host, i.e. you're not the legal guardian, but still there to give support and care to that young person. For those who know the organisation Home for Good, it's a large national organisation. They recently released a report called Brimming with Potential, the Case for Supported Lodging. And this was a real encouragement to me, because it just showed the power of supported lodgings and championed supported lodgings. And I love this quote. It says, supported lodgings is not suitable for all young people, and I would agree with that, but for many it can be life-changing. And there's also a quote from a host there: the potential in these young people is unbelievable. We have hosted 11 young people in total, and to invest in the life of a young person is a privilege.